Hello, everyone. This is Shelly Dressel, and tonight I'm going to be channeling the universal light beings. I do this every couple of weeks or so. By channeling, I mean I communicate with very high light vibrational frequencies, and they speak through me. Albayon is from Arcturus, Brysentia is from the Pleiades, and Crystallia is from the Omniverse. So, oh my goodness, it just occurred to me what's going on here. Alexander isn't in the room, and I'm willing to bet that Norway, or probably half the world, didn't change their clocks yet. And so I'm here an hour ahead of when he is. We're here. That's exactly what it is. Because my point is, I have no idea what the questions are. That always comes from him. Let me send him another email and just say that we changed the clocks. I think this happened. I was doing a private session. I don't know if it was him or someone else, but I remember last year having something similar go on, and that's what it was. Part of the world didn't change, and another part did. So we changed time. Okay, just sending him that email. Not sure when he'll get it or if he'll get it, but hopefully he'll show up in here because he's the one that has the questions, and he can bring that. So this may be a very unique time. It may be, in fact, it's making me wonder if maybe there'll be a lot of other people that aren't going to be in here too. I guess I should have mentioned that in the email I sent out this morning, but I just totally forgot about it. It's like, oh, that was way last Saturday. Who's thinking about, or Sunday? Who's thinking about that anymore? Anyway, so I'm here, and we're still just going to go ahead and do this. And it may be that I'll end up just channeling, going from one to one to one. It's really hard for me to look over here, as you guys know, those of you that have been here for so long. That's one of the massive blessings, or things that make it so much more helpful to have Alexander here, is that he's looking and he's monitoring all those things, and then he can put it up for me, and I'm not trying to shift my focus and come out of channel. So I think what I'm going to do is I'll just channel, and because I'll see down here when he gets in here. I'm hoping he'll get my emails and he'll realize what's going on, but we'll get going. So for those of you that are brand new, please consider subscribing. I do this. I channel these guys live on Rumble, Facebook, and YouTube. By the way, I got an email from Facebook, and they are only going to keep live streams for 30 days. I thought it was starting in April, but when I read the email again, it said starting July 1st. So, I mean, if you go back and you look at my Facebook, I have live streams on there going back years and years and years, but it just said it, and it's not about me, and it's not about censoring. They just said, we're no longer going to keep the volume, and we're no longer going to keep that in our history or our memory. So that's coming up, but that's going to be in July. And I'll still post everything in Crystalline Transformation. So you can go to Rumble, or you can go to YouTube if it ends up being longer than a month. I mean, I can kind of see that when there's so many different posts that are put in there. Who scrolls back longer than a month to see what's going on? Chances are not very many people. So, but anyway, so that's coming up, and I still can stream live. It didn't give me any restrictions into how long I can stream or anything like that. So that'll be good. And it'll just be there for 30 days as opposed to indefinitely. Okay, what else is coming up? So crystallinetransformations.com is my website. Feel free to check it out to see other things. As I said, for those of you that get my email, there's an email you can sign up for. I wanted to start doing shorts, and I was so gung-ho, and it was hilarious because I was like, oh, I could do this one, then this one, then this one, and I'd have the same clothes on. So I was like, okay, do this one, change clothes, do this one, just to get them all done. And then I was like, this is ridiculous. Nobody cares what I'm wearing. But anyway, so then, as you can hear, I've got this cold going on. It's springtime here. I absolutely love. I didn't used to like it as much as I do now, but there's a lot of stuff blooming, so my allergies are kicking in. So that's why I sound a little bit hoarse, and I got a little bit of a cough. I'm actually doing better. This has been lingering for about 3 weeks now, and it'll go away eventually. It always does. But anyway, so that's what's going on with my voice and with where we are. I was kind of jabbering a little bit here, hoping that that Alexander would show up here. So anyway, just looking at things. Love from Sweden. Thank you. So Monica, did you guys, because Sweden is right next to Norway and he's Norway, did you guys change your clocks, or do you not change your clocks, or because you're here on this time? And I'm thinking that's where Alexander is. Okay, hello from Australia. You know, I okay, I can just let them talk about it, but I do want to share Maggie, who's in here, who's from Australia. She and I had a lot of messages going back and forth, because the last time they talked about these 3 pillars of light that were coming up from the inner earth and shining upward, clearing the energy in Australia. And I think we got there's a mountain range on the eastern side, and then Uluru is about in the middle, and then Kalara, is that the name of that? Yes. Okay. Yes. Yes, they changed, or I don't know. Anyway, so Maggie, I see you're on here. Can you tell me the name of that over there on the western side that we decided it was? And then, I know they had that cyclone, and now they've had a lot of flooding. They had a lot of flooding last year or 2 years ago. So I feel as if Australia is really, really, really going through this massive transition. And it's hard. Transitioning is hard. Depression is hard. Frustration is hard. Anger is hard. It's all hard. Kalbari, that's it. Because what it was is I didn't know the name. I didn't pick up the name. And so I just looked at a map and I said, this is the one. This is what it is. And Maggie had actually visited there. But for those of you from Australia, do any of those, are they near to you? Have you felt the shift in energy? I'm wondering if you're feeling it at all. This time change takes me a long time to get used to. 100% agree. 100%. So I've got grandkids and I go to all their ball games, or as much as I can. And my grandson had an 8 a.m. game on Sunday morning, which was 7 a.m., which meant that I had to get up at 6 a.m. and, leave the house by 6:30-ish in the previous night's time. But anyway, we have changed the clock. Okay. So she's changed the clock. Oh, well, I don't know. I'm sure Alexander will show up at some point. All right. But anyway, so my point of all of this is that there's huge, huge, huge changes taking place, and I can't wait to hear what they talk about. I'm sure that many of you that follow the Schumann Resonance saw that pause for 24 hours. That's very super cool too. They've got lots to say about that. Okay. Greetings. It is I, Brysentia. I speak with you at the beginning here because I want to talk about what Shelly just mentioned, the Schumann Resonance. This planet has been so sacred to me and to millions and millions of people. This planet has been through so many different evolutionary processes, and we are right now at a very magical place in the history, if you want to call it that, of the planet. When you look at the number of people and those that are awake versus those that are asleep, there is a much more narrow margin between those that are awake and those that are asleep. And much of that has to do with the influx of energy that's been coming in in particular, the last 3 months. We are coming up on the equinox just next week, and that's going to be like a closure of a cycle. And that cycle is one that opened up in December with the solstice. And then these 3 months have been 100% about influxes of energy, like coming in, breaking down. And if you think about your life and if you think about what's been going on for you, sometimes it feels like that, doesn't it? It's like bam, 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 bam. And it takes something very significant in order to break down old paradigms and in order to break down the consciousness that was stuck in the old energy. So that brings me to another thing that I would like to speak about. We know that every one of you have heard the words that there's been control and manipulation. You've heard the words that there has been the planet has been a slave planet. Then you've also heard the words that what's the other one that I was thinking of that was coming to mind? And then about free will. And it's like, how could it be a slave planet if it's free will? So I don't need to go into all the details of that, but I want to bring that to your awareness so that you can pause and think about your life, and you can pause and think about the people that are around you. This planet is a free will planet. But then when you're talking about that control and manipulation, it's the way in which people have been controlling humanity and manipulating humanity to make them think it's their free will and their choices that is setting them up for what's been going on with them. So it's really very interesting when you stop and think of it from a cosmic level, because the cosmos, the universe, is filled with light vibrational energy. It's filled with high vibration frequencies, and it's filled with an intrinsic balance and flow of energy that moves through in a very constant manner. That being said, what's coming into the earth plane has also been coming in a very constant manner and a very continuous manner. So with this awakening that you could say it began 4,000 years ago and then had an uptick 2,000 years ago. And then, that's looking at it from the big scheme of things. But looking at it with your more recent history, the 2012 was when the end of the cycle that included the third dimensional energies, that was when it was completed. And then it took the planet and the consciousness another maybe 4 or 5 years in order to move through the shutting down and the releasing of that level of consciousness. And this is one of the reasons why things have been the way that they have been. It's been that very, very much of a double standard, that very much of the different timelines, and they've been trying to find its way into creating one. As Albayon said last summer, there was only one timeline, but because of the variations, there was a broad difference within that one timeline. So here we are now. With this awakening that is taking place, it has already removed that which was the control and manipulation. That had to take place, as you are well aware, and that's what took place back in 2020, 2019, 2020, 2021. There were still a few stragglers that were over the next few years. And even right now, there are maybe a few that are out there. Here's the thing, just as humanity was in a place that they didn't recognize that their thoughts or their beliefs or their reality was actually created for them as an illusion, so too these people that are still stuck in that old, they're living in the illusion of what they believe to be their truth. So for all of you, all of humanity, as you moved through the process of awakening, you recognize that what you believed to be your truth was something that was your truth, but it was based on falsehood and it was not accurate. So as we've had humanity moving, in great huge waves and in great huge droves, in numbers of people, into a greater clarity in which you can look at things from that higher perspective, in which you can look at things and understand, oh, that's what that means. Oh, that's what that means. And I can take it all in and choose for myself. This is one of the biggest transitions that will be coming forward in the next 1 to 2 years, is people thinking for themselves. So that being said, how often do you think for yourself? And how often do you just parrot what someone else is saying. This may be something that is very noticeable to you, especially about other people that have not fully awakened, is that they're just parroting the words that they believe to be true, and they're not thinking, they're not literally processing what's going on. So as the awakening and as this energy continues to move and transition, all of these people are going to begin to question, and all of them are going to begin to think again. But how is that going to look? It may look different from one person to another. So be patient, be calm, but 100% stay in that vibration of inner knowing. Stay in the awareness that, oh, I've been through all that. I know where I am. I know what's going on. I know how this is all going to play out. And in doing so, not only are you strengthening your own consciousness and your own intuition and your own everything, you are also helping to strengthen that of the planet, because the collective consciousness that goes throughout the planet is also receiving all of the thoughts that come from you. It's receiving the thoughts of those that are, not in alignment. But when the thoughts of balance and light and love and compassion, when that outweighs the other or takes up more space than the other, then there'll be less and less and less of that you'll see going on. Okay. I wanted to say that so that you would have an understanding of where I'm coming from as I now talk about the Schumann Resonance. When you look back at the Schumann Resonance about maybe 4 or 5 years ago, the average was, we're just going to give it a number 20. We don't know 100% the exact number of what it is. But then suddenly when it would pop up to 30 or it would pop up to 45, and people were like, wow, look at all that light energy coming in. Look at how high the resonance is going. And then it became the norm to be 40. And now it's the norm to be in the 60s. And now you have just gone through another reset. And so even though it's as if the computer, and it is a quantum computer that they're tapping into, it's as if that quantum computer is now finding a new balance and a new alignment with Gaia, so that moving forward, it will be as accurate as it is possible. Okay, so what does this mean to you? It means that the Schumann resonance is a reflection. It is something that is analyzed by a computer. It is something that, well, let's put it this way. It is registered by a computer and then interpreted or analyzed by different humanities. And these people that look at it are the ones that do it on a very consistent basis. So they have a good feel for what everything means. Now, as you're looking at, you've noticed probably, for those of you that have looked, is that there may be great blocks of white energy. That is the white light and the higher frequency that is coming in, and it's integrating throughout all of humanity. It's going in and out of everything. And then it has to equilibrate. So you might have some balance. There'll be other times when you see deep spikes, and it might be a darker energy or a lighter energy. And what that is it's representing a different tone or a different frequency. So one looks white, one looks dark. And basically it's just saying that this tone down here, because you have to be balanced in everything, is shooting up to say, okay, I'm going to balance some of this white light so that it can be at something that is consistent for all of humanity. The way that people feel during these times is that you might feel really tired. You might be filled with energy. You might also find that it is a time when your intuition is just wide open and you get all sorts of messages. You may find that you're just sleeping for 24 hours straight. You may find that it causes headaches and other physical discomfort. So what's important to know is that whenever something is going on, which at this time, it's almost every single day, and you start to feel as if you're out of whack or there's something just feels off about you, then always stop to think, is it me or is it the consciousness? Is it me or is it the people that I'm around? Is it me or is it something that's coming in that's different that I need to know about? Because frequently you're going to find out that some of these symptoms that you are feeling don't have anything to do with you. Well, it has something to do with you, but it's not based on what you are going through, because you most likely are already one of the ones anchoring this higher, lighter energy. Okay, so when we're trying to remember the date, it was a Saturday. It was the day before that time change. Now that I think about it, 7, 8, the 8th to the 9th, I believe it was. You guys can put the correct times down in here if you want. But anyway, so look at when you look at that, you will notice that for almost 24-hour period of time, it was like completely black. And there are, of course, all those people said, oh, someone just didn't choose to record it. Oh, they didn't do this. There's lots of different reasons for why it looked like that. And there are lots of different reasons why it looks like that. But two of the most prominent reasons that resonate with me that I'm going to share with you, one is that the entire planet took a moment to pause for 24 hours and reset everything, reset all the energy, reset all of the frequency, reset the alignment with the crystals inside of the planet, reset Gaia's alignment with humanity, reset Gaia's alignment with the universe. And because you've been constantly having this influx of energy, it needed to take a timeout. And that timeout was about 24 hours long, in which it held its breath, so to speak, and everything else just did whatever it needed to do until it found its new balance, and then it began sending out its frequency again. This is what I believed happened. Another way of looking at this, and since that time, you will find that a lot of the people that record this energy and that look at this energy, they've had to make adjustments in their equipment. Their equipment did not just automatically recognize that this change has been going on, because it's a machine, and it's not a consciousness. So when that, during that period of time, more so towards the end of it, the equipment was rebooting and it was finding its own resonance either. And it's like when we talked about how the frequency used to be a 20 and then it had bumped up to about a 40, 45. Well, it had to have a reverberation. It had to have a pause. And then the same as it went up to 60. So periodically, there is just a holding of the breath, so to speak, holding of the heartbeat, so to speak, of Gaia. And it is to allow for all of this to take place. So my second theory that a lot of people are thinking about is that we've had this constant influx of energy, and there was a major solar flare that took out, that came in right before that. So the other potential of what could happen here is it was such a huge blast and it went out through everything that it literally fried the computers, you could say, and the computers had to find a way to start picking up on things again. Either way, the bottom line is that there was a pause that took place in the vibration of Gaia, and within that pause, a recalibration took place so that it shifted upward so as to understand, analyze, integrate much more of the light vibrational frequency. Okay, so I wanted to share that. I think I saw someone March 8th, correct. So that would have been last Saturday this took place. Correct. That's what I was picking up on. I knew it was something like that, but you know how I have to use Shelly's brain, and sometimes things get wonky. Okay. So I mean, if you have any other questions about the Schumann, go ahead and drop it in there. So let us talk for a minute about integrating all these energies. We talk about this in just about every single time that we get together. It frequently is what Crystallia is working on with you. She's giving you vibration. She's giving you balancing. She's giving you energy that's going to help you as you move forward in this. But some of you will recall how for so long you had a perception that there was going to be some sort of a blast or some sort of a something that would literally kind of paralyze people, and that would be the Great Awakening. And then it was decided long, long, long ago that that's not going to happen like that because it would be too traumatic for society. This was, excuse me, this was as close to that as you have come. And my awareness is that this is probably going to be as close as you will come. So there may be other times that it's just a really strong impulse and it may have an impact. But my sense to ask you is look at all your friends and look at your family members and those people that have as yet to awaken, and see if there's not like a softening going on around them. See if they're not kind of as rigid about their beliefs as they were before. See if maybe they're just I know I have heard through listening to people, through communicating with people, that many of you, hundreds if not thousands of you, said that, well, you know, my family was never like this before. We were always so close. And see if you don't notice that closeness is now coming back around again. So for those of you where you've been, when you think about that spiral of life, that spiral of time, you know, and here's your family connecting back here, and then you're going around and now you're going to reconnect up here. So it's a new place. It will be a different place, but it's still that reconnection that's going to take place within. Whew. Okay. I feel like there's one more thing I want to talk about. So we're going to do this a couple of ways. Once Alexander shows up, he can put the questions that were posted. But if those people that are in the room, if you want to write a question, then we'll go ahead and try to answer it. One of the other things that I like to speak about is the relationship between Pleiades and the Earth plane. With this ascension that is taking place, there is a deeper alignment, or there's a deeper opening that goes between the Pleiades and the Earth. And what happens because of that is that there may be more and more of that influence. Well, here, let's look at this a different way. Because whenever we say influence, then people think control, manipulation, because that's still in your consciousness. The Pleiades have been in the circle of support for the Earth plane for millions and millions of years. There's a direct link and connection that goes way back through the eons. And so there are times when it's as if the consciousness is far apart. There are times as if the consciousness comes closer together. With the ascension taking place on the planet, that connection with Pleiades is coming in closer once again. And so things like telepathy, things like teleportation, things like manifesting instantly, things that are normal for us and used to be normal for you will come back and become a part of the norm. So the Pleiades are working right now to really focus on sending you the energy, and you will get it in downloads. Some of these downloads come in and they're activating various aspects of your DNA because you have all of that information within you. It's within your DNA, it's within your consciousness, or your unconsciousness, it's within your soul. And so what the Pleiades are doing now is they're sending these impulses of light that are going to come in, that are going to open up the door, that are going to help for all of you to be more realized in your life. I love that word. You're going to be realized in your life, which to me is saying that you're going to recognize the choices that you've made. You're going to appreciate the ascension that you've moved through. You're going to look at yourself and at the world differently because the energy is different and therefore your potentials are different. So just be open to this flow and understand that as we speak, even now, this is being downloaded into you in almost a continuous basis. So it's, oh, the other thing I wanted to mention, we've talked frequently about the Golden Age. And so I did want to reiterate that a part of what the Golden Age is talking about is that balance between Gaia herself, humanity, the animal world, and the universe. It's like there is a flow of energy and a movement of the consciousness that allows for it's a way of showing respect. It's a way of honoring. It's a way of acknowledging not only who you are and what you've been through, but that you've arrived and you are now in balance with Gaia. And hence that golden age is also representing that balance, not between you and Gaia, you and the rest of humanity, you and the universe. And it does have that financial aspect, which so many people think it's about. And yes, that is true. But it's also about that expanded consciousness, the ascended soul, and the way that that works for you. So just more food for thought. Okay, let me see if I can see some. Okay, let's see. I'm noticing that my husband is getting more and more anxious from the things he sees on TV. I normally tell him that everything will be okay, and then he becomes a bit irritated. What is the best way to respond? You know, I understand what you are saying, like whether it's your husband or other friends and family, because you're looking at everything that's going on from a higher perspective, you know, in your heart of hearts, it's all going to be okay. But when someone doesn't see the big picture, they don't know that. And you saying it's all going to be okay is telling them that their anxiety and their belief system it doesn't mean anything, that you have a lack of respect for them. I understand this is not what you intend, but I'm saying that this is how that person interprets what's going on there. So just food for thought. One of the ways that you can say things is, well, you know that we've got different ways of looking at this. So in my perspective, I really think it's all going to be okay. I really think this is all going to balance out. And that way you're not saying his fear and anxiety is less than, you're acknowledging this is where I'm coming from and this is my truth. Now, that being said, don't forget to work energetically with your loved ones. So when you go into prayer or meditation or whatever it may be, just sit quietly and be in that space of your soul, be in that space of the highlight frequency, and then just, ask that friend or loved one to come in. And you do this by bringing them up into your heart, by bringing them as if they're sitting there with you, and just say, you can do so many different things. It's limitless. But one thing might be show them like you're looking at a big screen and say, this is what I'm looking at. This is what my belief is. And even though it's all done in your imagination and it's up here in your higher self, it's still going to have an impact. Another thing that you can do is just communicate with them and just say, man, it's been so hard for us the last few years because we are really on opposite ends of the spectrum. I just want you to know that I love and respect you, but you need to love and respect me too. I would like this to go both ways, and I would like us both to remember that we're in a relationship, and I'm hoping that you can be open to new and different things that are coming about, just as I will be open and aware of some of the things that you're talking about. This is another way of showing balance to the individual. So it truly, truly, truly is not going to go on that much longer, that there'll be these wide variances of beliefs or reality. Okay, I just heard someone saying, they remembered that for years and years and years, they were told that the people that don't ascend are going to be removed from the planet. They're just going to be taken off because they're going to stay in that lower vibrational frequency. I'm not saying that doesn't happen at some point. It is a potential. But what we see, Albayon and I and Crystallia, what we see much more as a reality or as a truth is that everybody's unconscious knows this ascension has happened. They all know exactly where this is going to go. So it's about being patient and being calm and seeing that what flows from your unconsciousness into the consciousness, so that the everyday reality of that individual can know, oh, okay, we are going to be okay. Oh, okay, this is not what I thought it was going to be, but we're going to be okay. And that should help to bring about more calm and more balance. There is still disinformation that is being shown. I was a little bit afraid to say that because you know how the censorers are. There is still information that is intended to make people anxious and fearful and even violent in some regards, and that is still out there. But what's happening now, where it just went rampant before, now it's much more so that it's out there in little bits and pieces, and so each one of those are being merged with a higher, lighter vibration. Some of them is being taken out, but some of this is still just the media. And until the media fully transitions, they are going to be saying stuff, which then some of the influencers will continue to say it and parrot it back. As I said, the ones that are parroting back, they're not thinking for themselves. And so it is coming to an end. Honestly, when I look at it in this now moment, the middle of March here, 2025, it is a fraction of what it used to be. It may still seem like it's big, huge, and prevalent, but it is a fraction of what it used to be. And I feel that within 4 to 6 months, it will be even a fraction less than what it is. And it won't be fully gone, as in there's absolutely no more negative stuff for at least 1 to 2 years. But that doesn't mean it's going to stay like this. That's what I'm saying. Exponentially getting less and then hugely less of that. So it is going to transition. And at this point, because there's so many people that can see this highlight vibration, the ones that are stuck in that negativity, it's like they're waving the red flag to say, hey, I'm still stuck in the negative. And that allows other people to say, well, why are you stuck there? What are you doing there? What is your plan and your intention? I'm speaking of like the people that are in charge. And it's also kind of helping to break that down and help get rid of them. Boy, Shelly's really getting a hoarse voice here, isn't she? Okay. Can you speak to Mark Carney that has taken Prime Minister Trudeau's place? Is he of the good? Let me look at Mark Carney. He took over from Trudeau. The interesting thing as I look at Mark Carney is I'm literally seeing two of him, because I was reaching out, looking to see the situation, asking to see, and it was like there was this facade, and then I saw a doorway, and then I saw another one. So that's telling me that he may not be authentic. He may be someone that's playing a part, and he's doing so to get Canada riled up, to get Canada thinking for themselves, to get Canada to bind together and choose freedom and choose a better way to live. Okay. Okay. Yeah, so when I went back and looked at him again, I still saw those two images, but they were much more blended than the first time that I connected to him. And I do feel like there's a lot of light energy around him. So I believe that what you're seeing here is that he's doing his job, and his intention is to kind of get people to awaken and notice what's going on. Because in some ways, he's not near as bad as Trudeau was, but in other ways, he's not near as good as what they wanted. It feels like he's kind of in the middle there, teeter-tottering. It does not feel like he's going to be, he's doing a job, and he's there for a transition. And it feels like the long-term prime minister that's going to be coming up comes in about 4 to 6 months. So he's doing a job, and that is to help the Canadians start thinking for themselves, talking about what they truly want. And this is one way we could actually see it worldwide. When you look at what's happening in the United States and how every single day they're saying, this is what we did today. This is what we did today. Look at this website. You can find out everything that we have done. That type of openness and transparency is what the rest of the world is going to start saying, I want to know exactly what you've done. I want to know what you're doing for us today. I want to know what's going on that's going to support the Canadians. And so this is what I feel is part of his job, is to bring it up into that place of awareness. So he certainly is nothing like Trudeau, but we just saw that two parts at the beginning. And for whatever reason, we're not 100% sure why that was, but our sense is that he's just temporary, and he's playing a part and doing a job. Let's see. Okay, so this is saying another one about Canada, worried about the prime minister. He seems capable of nefarious. Exactly, that's that 2 points that we're seeing. But he is, let us just say this, there are still multiple leaders around the world that are not working for the good of the whole, that they're still working for the good of themselves. And every single one of them are the white hats, or those people that are a big part of this transition, know exactly who these people are, and they're paying attention to them, and they will all be taken down. They will all be transitioned. None of them are going to stay long term, period. No one in the entire planet is going to be able to continue with their nefarious ways. So that being said, this guy, we think he's temporary. Oh, hey, Sophie. Is Pierre Poilievre a good guy, or just another saying? Not sure who Pierre Poilievre is. Let me see if I can figure it out. Ooh, it's so hot in here. Shelly's burning up. So Pierre Poilievre, as I'm not getting a lot. Like, certain people are so much in the limelight, or so much out there. They have a very open presence, but this Pierre guy feels like he's out there and he should be open and available, but he's not. I get a lot of reservation around him. I don't know that I'd say he's 100% for the nefarious ones, but I don't feel like he's filled with that much light. I think, yeah, because he's shut down and I can't get to him to really see him to make a good discernment. So that's what makes me think. I mean, he could be completely fine, but I just get a sense, I just get a feeling of ugh, when I connect to him. So I don't think he is of the light. With spring on our doorstep in Vermont, I am wondering if there are natural ways to keep fleas and ticks. This is a great question. And unfortunately, because I have to work through Shelly, I don't have a good answer for you. But because it's hard to just pull names and words and things out of the blue, and it just doesn't flow as well. But yes, the point is, yes, there are natural ways that you can do to prevent fleas and ticks. And it feels like a chamomile or some sort of a bath that you give them that stays on the skin, that is repellent to them. It also feels like there are natural sprays. What was one of those? Lemongrass, or different things like that. Like, if you look in the books, there's a lot of books that have been written that talk about this, and it feels to me like there's something that's a compound that has lemongrass and something else in it that you can spray on and then brush it through their coat, and it will make their coat repellent. And then we just keep hearing chamomile. Don't know what's up with that, but it feels like it's something that leaves behind a coat, and that would be on the skin itself and would help to act as a repellent. Those are the only two things that are coming to us, but I will say I'm positive that there are some books out there that have a lot more information for you. Okay. Let's see. Will the conflict between Russia and Ukraine end soon, and will the killing stop? Yes, it's going to end very, very soon. Maybe even as early as the end of this month. This has somewhat been a show, the whole thing. Zelensky, he does believe that he's still going to rally and he's still going to get money. And he does think that he's still going to continue his money laundering and his shenanigans that he's been pulling off. But the whole world sees it for what it is. And as more and more people, I'm just hearing people say, yeah, it doesn't look that way on Facebook or Instagram, all these people that they support, but he cut his throat, if you want to call it that. He brought it to an end. And with the way that he acted, with the way that the world has responded to how he acted. And I know there's a lot of people that misinterpreted that. It's one of those things, though, where he showed the entire world that he does not want a peaceful contract. He wants money to continue the war. And when the Americans had said, we're not giving you any money to continue the war, we 100% have already told you that. And that's all he could talk about. It was like, okay, you don't want to talk to us. You don't want to negotiate. All you want is more money for the war. So our sense is that it's going to come to a resolution. And now what it's doing is these people in Europe that are continuing to support him are some of the ones. Anybody that's been supporting him is a part of the nefarious ones. So anyone that's continuing to support him, those are the nefarious ones. And what's happening right now is the light workers all around the world, the white hats, if you want to call them that, all around the world that have been working to bring all of this information out. They're all there, and this is showing who else is a part of that club. So my sense of it is that it's all going to come down. It's all going to come out, and the peace will be as soon as the end of this month, which is just 2 weeks, because it's been in the process. It's not like it's going to start from day one, from today. It's been in the process, and it feels like it's going to come to completion before the end of March or within the first week or so in April. Okay, I see Alexander's here now. I'm thinking, Alexander, we changed our clocks. We moved ahead last weekend, and you probably didn't know about that or hadn't done so. So this is Brysentia speaking, and we were just reading what questions were right here, but we're probably about ready to move on, unless you have any questions for Brysentia that you want to put up there. We've talked about Canada. We've talked about the Ukraine. We've talked about warfare, and I think, and we've talked about the Schumann Resonance, and we've talked about activating DNA. Let's see. Were the last of the nefarious tunnels cleaned out with the latest cyclone on the east coast of Australia? Oh, and there was something earlier where someone asked about the cyclone. Australia is a very unique country because there is so much ancient history that is there. The continent itself was filled with just ancient mysticism. And then when you think back on it, when was it? 1600s, something like that, 1700s, when England started sending their criminals there. That was when they came in, they took over, and then they inhabited it with criminals. And they tried to keep that system of slavery going. And that was, that's what they set up, that these criminals would come there. They might be indentured or they'd work for other landowners. And so that in and of itself dropped the vibration quite a bit. And then when you think of everything that's been going on with the nefarious ones, especially over the last 75 to 100 years, Australia, because it's so separated from a lot of other places, became one of the hubs that was going to be, okay, our last resort. Okay, let's go there. It's, we've got a good strong thumb on Australia. We can keep it our own. So this is one reason why it seems like they're so far behind in making changes. This is one reason why the energy has been so heavy and dense. And this is one reason why so many Australians have been saying, good gracious, when is this going to be done? And I think it is. I think it is very close to being done. I think that there is greater energy coming into the continent at this time. And I think any time that there's a massive flooding, that it is due to cleaning out old energy. Sometimes it's the energy that's entrained in the earth. It's entrained in the rocks. It's entrained in, even the water, like if there's a contained water lake or something like that. So a lot of this is being done to clear that out. There was someone that had asked over time, was that whole cyclone done by the nefarious ones to build up water, to build it up, and then bring it in? It felt like there was some mechanizations or mechanisms or some, what's the word, manipulating of the cyclone that did take place. Yes, we agree with that. I agree with that. But it also feels as if, number one, it was done to show what they've been doing, but it was also done as a means of really building up to clear this out. There are not a lot of nefarious ones left down there because there's been a huge clean out of the people that were keeping it in the negativity. A lot of people don't believe that. A lot of people don't see it. But I remind you, going back to whichever of us mentioned it the last time, we see the beams of light that are coming up through the earth, that are coming through the continent, that are shining light and merging it with everyone. So it's almost like I see it leapfrogging and going ahead very, very quickly. So did it clean out a lot of dumps? Yes, it did. But it also was cleaning out and clearing the energy that was stuck in, there was a lot of really negativity going back hundreds of years in that part of the country. And it feels like this was cleaning out a lot of that. How far are we from getting to a planetary government and no inner conflicts to be able to enter the galactic? Not close at all. No. We are already a part of it, or they would not be here working with us and supporting us. But when you say how long until we get 1-to-1 and there's an easy flow that goes from the universe into the earth plane, that has to be when the earth itself as a planet has its own level of consciousness and its own consistency that works as like a representative of the planet. And so I don't see that happening anytime soon. There's still so much that needs to be done. And then I'm just trying to say 5 years, I get no, 10 years, I get no, maybe 15 years, maybe 20, something like that. But it will happen. But the idea that we're not part of the Federation, we are part of the Federation, and that's why they're here supporting us as they do. Okay. Okay. All right. Okay, so someone is saying the government of Norway supported Zelensky. What will happen to the leadership in Norway? So I feel as if the EU, a lot of this is stuff that Albayon might talk about. So let me just defer that to Albayon and let him talk about, because he likes politics more than I do. So I'm just going to bring this to a close. But thank you, everyone, for listening to me. And vibration is fabulous on the planet. Ascension is here. It's affecting everybody. So I invite you to be in joy when you wake up, be in joy when you live your life, be in joy when you go to bed, be in joy. Know that we are ever with you on Saluia. Greetings. It is I, Albayon, and I thank you for this opportunity. For that pause in between as Brysentia left and I was coming in, Shelly has this sinus stuff going on, and we reminded her, well, she did choose to work in the garden for 2 hours this afternoon, so no wonder, all of the allergies are kicking up. Okay. So my take on where the planet is that you're in very, very, very good positioning. And what I mean by that is that the communication within humanity has reached a higher level of connection. the nefarious ones, it's no longer about, oh my gosh, they're bad. It's more so about, oh, they're bad too. And think about what that shift means. It's no longer that people are shocked and stunned that those that have been in power could possibly be bad. It's now more so that, oh, there's another one, add them to the bunch. Oh, there's another one, add them to the bunch. And so to me, that's one of the ways that I can reflect back on or acknowledge that there's a huge transition that's been taking place. And this is even those that you would consider are still asleep. So let me look at the Ukraine and let me talk about that. I know Brysentia was talking about it and from her perspective, but one of the things that she said was that anyone that's left supporting him are the ones that are indicative that they're a part of the nefarious schemes. So let me look at that. And she just said she saw the EU breaking up, and I do too. But let me kind of tap into this for a minute and see what I can get. When you look at your whole planet, everything is breaking down. And when things break down, humanity has a tendency to go into fear, like, oh my God, it's breaking down. And what's breaking down is your perception of what has been. And you cannot move from one reality to another unless it breaks down. And then you create something new. I mean, all of you that are here are thinking, well, duh, I know that, but you don't really remember it in your everyday life. So this is what's been happening on the planet, is everything bit by bit has been breaking down. You've heard about it through the finances. You've heard about it through the government. You've heard about it through the communities. You've heard about it through those that, I mean, in the last 4 or 5 years, there are so many of you that would listen to people and thought, oh, they've got good information. Oh, that resonates with me. And then after a while, you think, really? Is that really what they believe? And you understand how you are actually growing, and maybe that other person is not growing. They're still regurgitating the same thing. This may be how you feel about family and loved ones. I loved what Brysentia said about that as a means of communicating with them, because there is always a form of communication that's available to you. And if you can't talk with your words face to face, then talking energy to energy is a great way in order to kind of clear the energy, clear the space, and help to share respect for one another, but also share your opinion or your perspective on things. Okay. I believe that this conflict is coming to an end. I believe, and some of you may disagree with me, but I believe that the whole conflict was started as a means of money laundering for all of those that were part of the nefarious ones on the planet. And I believe that there was bloodshed. I believe that there was a lot of corruption. I believe that there was a lot of really horrible things that happened to the people of the Ukraine. And I believe that there's a small number that really benefited from this. In every war that you've had on this planet, there are people that benefit from war. And that's what has to come to an end in order to move into this new place in which the planet is going to be residing. In order to be compatible with the higher vibrational energies, there cannot be warfare. There cannot be that killing of humanity and that lack of respect for humanity. And so, okay, I just heard this may be the last war on Earth. Could be. And then I heard, well, there's still the wars that are going on in the Middle East. So which one's going to be the last? I don't know. But my point of this is that now that everything is out in the open, and now that so much of humanity recognizes what's been going on in the Ukraine, I understand. I mean, I could just hear all of you saying, oh, no, no, no. Hundreds of thousands of people don't have a clue. That is true. But millions and billions do have a clue and do understand. I will remind you how so often it is the ones that are the weakest that try to speak the loudest to make themselves less weak. So just keep that in mind. when it seems like there's so many people that are complaining, so many people that are saying that they support it and that the rest of the world is wrong. No, that's all going to come to an end. I believe that the contracts will be signed. I'm not quite as optimistic as Brysentia, where she felt by the end of March. I think it's going to be a little bit longer, but I still feel like it's going to be within the month. Today is what, the 12th? I think it's going to be within the month of what day we're in right now, because they've already been talking about it. They've already been talking about what's happening in terms of where's the money coming from, how is it going to happen, and it's dried up. So for those that are in Europe that have pledged to support him to continue on with this fight, they are, I will agree with that, they are the ones that are still getting money back, laundered back to them, and they are still the ones that are benefiting from supporting him. He was nothing until they put him in there. He was a figurehead to get a story behind, to try to pull on people's heartstrings so as to create a reality or to create a situation that would get humanity accepting and acknowledging all that was happening, so that they wouldn't complain as the governments gave billions and billions and billions of dollars to him. Okay, so let me see. Okay. So let's talk. Okay, so that's going to end. And okay, so let's look at two things when that ends. The first thing that we want to say is, okay, when they come to peace, are they going to keep their borders, or are they going to be absorbed into Russia? They are not going to be absorbed into Russia. They will keep their borders. It feels like there may be some shifting of a very small portion of the Ukraine, but it feels like the Ukraine is going to continue to remain a country, and it will have fair elections for what comes up. And it feels like this change, or this part that goes back to Russia. I mean, at one point, all of it was part of Russia. And so what they're doing, I'm not just talking about the USSR. I'm talking about hundreds and thousands of years ago. It was all considered part of the same community. But the way that I see it happening right now is that it will remain, and as a part of the talks, the southeastern is what it's looking like to me, will go over to Russia. That's just my perception. There may be something different about that. It may be further north. That's just the way it's coming across to me now. Okay. Most everyone that's listening to this is very, very aware of how the Littles were trafficked there, how people were trafficked there, how there were many, many labs that created substances that were not harmful to humanity. And this war was a cover for all of that was taking place. So when the war is no longer there to be a cover, then it can be exposed. But that being said, it feels to me like the vast majority of that has already been cleared out. They've been in the process of clearing it out for a solid 3 years. And okay. How long has this war been going on? Hasn't it been 3 years? Honestly, it looks like the war has been going on for a very long time, like 6 or 7 years. But maybe someone can give me the correct number down there. But anyway, my sense is that it's been a good solid 3 years that they've been clearing out the dumps. They've been clearing out these communities where this stuff took place. And if you ask the Ukrainian people, it feels to me as if they're all saying, yeah, we just want this done. We want to go back to peace. There is a great amount of history there. It's a beautiful, beautiful culture that's really, really, when you go back to the people, not those that you see as the illusion, but when you go back to the people, it's a community built on community. It's people that look out for one another. It's people that support one another. It's people that have a strong alignment with their nationality. So it feels as if that will come back again, and this is going to all get better. So now let's talk about the EU. the EU, I feel, is going to be dismembered. Is that the best way to say it? But it feels as if it's going to come about in such a way that it feels as if it's going to come about in such a way that others will know exactly what's been going on in Europe, and they will no longer have that ability. So, sorry, we're just down. I'm just downloading into Shelly because I'm trying to get a big. It feels as if some of these countries have already started breaking off from one another. It feels as if it feels as if different parts of the European countries came together as a whole to try to make it cohesive and easier to go through. That's what they told everyone. But it was actually put together by the central bank as a means of as a means of getting more money from the people of Europe. And so it feels like as that breaks down, what you've known as the European Union is going to come apart, but it feels like there is going to be a new peace that is, what do you call it? Treaties. It's going to be new treaties that are signed, or a new peaceful way in which all of these countries will work yet again with one another. And in doing so, it will be in such a way that it supports each other. It recognizes the benefit of each country. And it just popped into my mind that the N and has a Z and ends in I, that there's still been that mentality very, very present in Europe. And I'm feeling Germany, France, a little bit of Denmark, and like some of those that were right together. And it feels as if that's what's being broken up as they break up the European community. Okay, that feels like it's going to take longer, like 6 months to a year, perhaps, maybe even longer than a year. But it doesn't matter how long it actually takes. What matters is that people start talking about it and people start explaining why did this happen in the first place and what's it going to mean ultimately. How is all of that going to go along? So, that question that someone had. So then everyone that's part of the European community, does that mean they're all negative and they're all nefarious ones? Let me look at that. It feels like some of them were pressured to join the community, and not everyone is negative. Not everyone is involved in this, although anyone that was not involved was aware of what was going on. So whether you say, well, they were just as guilty because they were aware and did nothing, they did nothing because they feared for their life. They did nothing because they were blackmailed. They did nothing because of the control and manipulation that took place. So I feel like there is going to be a great deal of change, and it's there right now. It's happening right now. And a lot of this disclosure is going to come out over the next 2 to 3 months. I feel that by July, looking at Europe, it's going to be very different than what you see right now. Okay, I just heard one say, well, is that unstable? No, it feels like this is moving towards a greater stability and a greater independence. There may be a time of transition, but it feels as if at the end of the day, they're all going to be much stronger. They're all going to be independent, and they're going to work together in cohesion with one another in a new place of honesty and cohesiveness. Okay. As you can hear, Shelly's voice with that hoarseness. Let's just go ahead and do questions. Alexander, do you have questions? What is your opinion of Elena Danaan? Is it correct that the Federation of Light is run by the Greys? We've looked at her before, we remember. So Elena Danaan has a lot of white light energy in and around her. The Federation of Light that she speaks about has been in alignment with the Greys, and there is still that limited vibration that we see around her. That's the best way to describe it. We will say this: we remember looking at her, was it a year ago, 2 years ago? And it felt like, she herself was of the light, and she herself was creating changes and trying to bring about new reality. But this group that she worked with was putting all these limitations on her. So So as I'm looking at it now, it doesn't feel like that community is as solidly negative as what we had picked up on before. So it does not feel like it's a part of the rest of this light energy that we talk about, that we work with in the universe. They are, of course, not the only ones out there, but this is the largest community. What we come from are the largest community of planets and emissaries of light that are working with the earth plane now. So while, yes, we do feel that who she works with is a part of the universe, it just feels like it's a limited part, and it doesn't feel like it has as much light energy, and it doesn't feel like they work with other individuals. It feels like it's contained. So you can decide for yourself what you think of that. Can you please give us an update for Australia? We did that with Brysentia just now. I feel, I don't really have a whole lot to add to that. I feel as if Australia's sacred energy is being released, if you want to call it that. Those beams of light that Crystallia, I think, talked about the last time, now have expanded even bigger. So where they used to be like, those laser lights that you see going up into the sky, kind of skinny, but very, very bright. Now they've gotten to be bigger. And so it's more like a column of light that's going up. And I think that eventually each one of these three will expand in such a way that it will be one big band of light that is emanating from Australia. So, so the light is there, the light is activating, the light is working. Anything that's happening, I understand, because I've heard from many of you that are down there just exactly how negative the vast majority of people are and how asleep they seem to still be. So my perception is that when things like that happen, it's as if you're struggling, and all the time there's this light vibrational frequency coming in, and then boom, it all just gets to a place of balance, or a place where suddenly it's dramatically increased, and you're in a totally different place. That's what I see happening for Australia. When I look at just 4 to 6 months ago, it was so heavy and dense, and now I don't see that same vibration and frequency. I do feel like they have made significant changes since that period of time. As we accept the extra available DNA, will there be a transition period? Yes, many people don't feel right. Many people feel as if they're disoriented, because as your DNA activates and suddenly you're using more of your senses, you're using more of your intuition, suddenly you have this direct line of light and vibration that's coming down from the universe, that's coming in from your soul. And so all of that has to equilibrate within you. So 100%, people will feel a little bit off. They'll feel a little bit different. And some people that integrate more easily than others, they may not feel anything at all. Or if they feel something, it may be for a very short period of time, like hours or minutes. For those that have not yet done a whole lot of ascension work or ascension they may feel like that for hours or days even. So the length of time that someone feels a little bit discombobulated as transitions are taking place, not only in your DNA, but in your consciousness and your awakening, then it's all relative to how awake are you already and how in alignment with that vibration. All right. Anything else? Okay. Well, I'll take a look around and see if there's anything floating around in the ethers, but I probably will just be done for tonight. Very short for me. How about that? I usually talk so much, don't I? But let me just say this one last thing. So we looked at Europe, we looked at the United States. When we look at this planet as a whole, there is so much that's taking place. There is such a rich, rich, rich history within your civilizations. Everybody, when they're living on Earth, they're focusing on or thinking about the place where they live right now. And they're not recognizing that, well, gee whiz, 1,000 years ago, people were living right where I am right now, having similar experiences. So the tides, the cycles, the eons, whatever it is that you want to call it, that is going through what it is to be on the earth plane, that is also continuing to move through the ascension process. So here's something to just make it interesting for you. You may have had a past life, we'll just say 1800. And when you tapped into that past life, you were in the vibration and the frequency of 1800. And so therefore, in a lot of cases, it dropped your energy down a little bit because there was a big time there where there was really heavy, heavy, dense energy. So you might have tapped into that past life to find out what was it I needed to learn? Why is this there? What is the importance of this? And then you brought it back into this lifetime to be able to filter it out and to be able to understand what all of it meant to you. Now, because of the way that this ascension consciousness is moving through the time-space reality with the quantum energy, with the quantum consciousness, there's this now moment. So instead of looking at a past life and going down to that vibration, you're now looking at that past life as that life occurred in the higher vibration. So what this is meaning is two things. Number one, it's that you are healing all of your past lives and all of your future lives that might have been at a lower vibration as you adjust your frequency to live in this now moment. The other half of that is that there is no healing that needs to take place because in this now moment, there is all perfect balance. That's like an ideal, you could say. I bet I could talk to 8 out of 10 of you here and they'll say, no, I'm still working on stuff. I'm still doing stuff. Absolutely. But be aware that in the quantum consciousness and in the universal consciousness and in the universal light, in the now moment, looking forward, backwards in all time, space, reality, you're seeing it from the perspective of the high vibrational energy. And if you get pulled down into something less than, it's temporary. So my take on it, my take on the importance of remembering what is quantum physics, what is quantum consciousness, what is all of this energy, is knowing that in this now moment, as you have ascended, you're clearing out your past, you're clearing out your future so that everything can ascend and all of you as your soul essence can vibrate at that higher frequency. So I'll leave you with that on Saluia. Greetings. It is I, Crystallia. I've been sitting in the background just flowing my energy into Shelly. So imagine if I had not been, she'd probably have pure laryngitis by now. So this is bringing up a question that I think many of you may have. In in the higher light frequencies, why does she get sick? Why does she have allergies? Why isn't everything in that now moment of perfect health all the time? Because the physicality, because you've been living on the earth plane, however long you've been living there, because you have a physical body, a cellular structure, and all of that has been in alignment with what's been going on. You are in the process of transitioning and transforming into a higher, lighter frequency, and it is going to take effect, and it is going to be present for you. But during this wave, or what do you call it, learning curve, during this learning curve, you are still going to have sickness. You're still going to have whatever it is that you might normally have as your physical reality. The key to remember is that you won't stay any place long unless you give it a lot of energy, like, oh boy, now I'm sick again. When am I not going to be sick? You know, your thoughts and process can potentiate whatever's going on with you. But if you look at it as a means of filtering, and as a means of, like she said, she just spent several hours in the garden with all the spring pollens that are being released, then her body's filtering that. And this is all very typical and normal, and it will resolve itself very, very quickly. The less energy she gives it. Okay. The last time that we got together, I put forth a little intention or a little vibration, and I gave everybody a wavelength or a frequency that they could kind of sit upon or experience if they wanted to. Sorry. As a result of that, I can see, I'm just joking with you. As a result of that, it blacked out your Schumann resonance for 24 hours. No, that wasn't me. But I wish I could say it was me, because that would be a very cool thing. But from that time that I did that energy work, and I was tapping into everybody, and I was sending energy to and from all of you, I could really feel a transition taking place in each one of you. What is important for you to know as the human is that the more that you're living in that higher, lighter frequency, the easier it is to transition whatever it is that may be going on. The easier it is to let go of the past, the easier it is to let go of arguments, the easier it is to let go of whatever it is that's been bothering you. Now, where I come from, there's that one collective consciousness, and everybody's tapped into it. Therefore, we don't get obsessive about something, because if say I were to start getting obsessive about something's going wrong, something's not happening, that, getting fearful, you could say, then everybody else in that consciousness would come to me, surround me with energy, give me love, light, and whatever it was I needed, so that I could once again be back up in that high vibrational frequency. You don't have that here as yet. You are creating that as a community, not just this community, but everyone on the planet that works with other, be it healers, be it light workers, no matter who they may be. You are creating a community of souls, a community within the consciousness that allows for people to not only be themselves, but for them to also have that support of consciousness, that support that comes from the other individuals, that support, so that you don't get stuck in any particular experience that you may be having. And so that when you are moving through transitions and life is a struggle, you stay there for as short of a period of time as possible. Okay. I feel like I'm just downloading. I can tell that Shelly's a little bit foggy as I'm working through her, because usually I just move on to the next thought process, but it's like we came to an end and there was a break. Okay, sorry. We have just like totally fried Shelly. Let's just go on to any questions that people may have for me. What is seen as the positive effects of the full moon eclipse this week? So I will go back and speak about the Schumann consciousness. I think Brysentia explained it all extremely well, and there's not a whole lot more that I can give to you. But I do want to share with you that whether you're here on Earth or you're out in the universe, everything is a wave. It's very little that is just one flat line that just stays the same. There's always going to be a wave, which means there's energy that goes up, the energy that dips down, and what you're looking at is the average of everything. So when I tap into the Schumann resonance, as people talk about it, or as as I'm learning about what this is, what that is not only is it the average, but it's showing you those spikes that are up above, those spikes that are down below. And all of it is what is creating the whole. So my perspective of during the time where there was nothing there, it was almost like a big black hole opened up and everyone dumped into it that negativity, that stuff that doesn't work for you anymore. It's like you just said, okay, we've been wanting to get rid of this. We're going to the dump, and boom. It's like it was placed into a void, or it was placed into a conscious receptacle, you could say, and then it was dispersed out into the universe where it was transitioned. But the point was, it was removing it from the earth plane so that it could then allow, in the next days and weeks to come, this eclipse being one of them, that's now going to fill up that void. And that void was the blankness that you saw. And so now it's going to begin to help with the adjustment and fine tuning so that there's a lighter vibration and frequency. Just look at your planet. Ever since the solstice, well, I mean, you could literally go back 1 to 2 years, but we'll just look at 3 months. Ever since the solstice, the planetary alignments have been unique and different than what they traditionally are. There are things that don't happen for 60 years, things that don't happen for 100 or 200 years. There are different things that don't happen in a very long time, and yet everything is coming through one right after the other. So this is the way that the universe is working with the earth and working with humanity and the consciousness to be able to clear out that which no longer serves anybody and allow for downloads to come in that are going to help everybody. This, in my opinion, is very much so what's going to help raise the consciousness of those that are as yet awake. You know, there's so much closer to being awake than they were in the past, but there's still a lot that just don't believe it because they don't see it, or because there's something that is programmed inside of them that says, if you believe this, you're going to have a problem. You know, so as that deprogramming takes place, then this is all here, it's all waiting, and it'll all be downloaded. So this this there's an eclipse coming up, and then there's a super moon, I believe, and then there's the equinox. I feel as if almost every single day of this month or every 2 to 3 days, there's something going on between the universe and the planet, and all of this is coming in and getting set up for the equinox, which is that balance, as you know, spring to fall. And then that's going to be really the beginning of the higher vibrational frequency in the consciousness of the planet. And this is the one that in this higher vibrational frequency, it's going to take along all of those people that have been sitting in the background, you know, waiting. So I think it's a very, very important eclipse. And I think everything is just building on top of itself. Anything else? Okay, well, this is good because Shelly's ready to be done. You have the three of us that come in here and chat with you every couple of weeks or so. We all know the highest potentials of what's going to come. But whether it's the highest potential or the lowest potential, we know that the earth is moving into a higher vibrational frequency. We know that this negativity and dark energy that's been a part of this planet for millions of years, that original part that we spoke about at one point, has been cleared and is removed. So we know that as this ascension completes itself, this whole cycle, this whole process, we know that it is going to be anchored, and it is opening up the door that this planet will now vibrate at that frequency where it can no longer drop down. I hear you. I hear you. I just heard someone say, yeah, that's what they said about Atlantis. There were still nefarious energies on the planet at the time of Atlantis, and that's what brought it down. When there are no longer any nefarious energies on the planet, they can no longer come back in and bring it down, because they will be unvibrationally, what's the word? They will not be vibrationally able to come into the high frequency. So this is really beautiful. This is really amazing that you get to experience it from that conscious perspective of being a human. Yes, there's a lot that you may consider a drawback if you have illnesses, if you are alone, if you have depression. You know, yes, there's many, many things that people consider a drawback. However, you also are the ones that are physically experiencing it. And I cannot say that enough. We don't have physicality where I come from. And as I've learned from communicating with you and experiencing things with you, it is the physicality that amplifies everything 10,000-fold. It makes it more real. It makes it more enjoyable. It may make it more torturous, but it brings a different level of awareness into your consciousness, into your soul, and into the collective. So being human and being alive at this time is a massive gift that you've given yourself. Ooh, it's bringing up a lot of emotion in Shelly. So I invite you to receive that gift, revel in everything that is your life, and know you're here for a reason, and you're doing it. Ansaluia. Whew. You're here for a reason, and you're doing it. Ah, that just, I mean, I've got tears in my eyes again from tapping into that, because I work with a lot of people. I talk to a lot of people, and over and over again, I hear from people, I don't know what my plan is. I don't know what my goal is. I don't know what I'm here for. So what this is saying is your plan and goal can change at a moment's notice, but you're here and you're able to choose and you're able to change it. So just be in the moment and really participate in whatever it is that you're involved in. And then if you want to change it later on, you change it later on. Whew. That's powerful to me. I mean, just because if we can all understand or experience our lives as we are in this moment and just accept it, that's huge. That's enriching, that's loving, that's huge. Okay. Well, thank you for being here, and I truly appreciate all of you. I love these times together, and I've got the meditation coming up next Monday, and I'll like I said, I'll try to do some minis. I'll try to do some shorts and different things like that in the next few weeks or so. But thank you for being here. I truly appreciate all of you. Sending love and light to anyone that that is open to receive, and don't forget to subscribe and save or whatever it is that you do. Thank you. Bye-bye.